Hey, so my cabbage is exploding in the garden. So I'm going to ferment cabbage. It's a sauerkraut, except it's not cooked like the sauerkraut you buy in the store. You can can sauerkraut. There is a canning method where you're basically cooking the cabbage, but we're going to do the fermented cabbage. We tried this recipe, I don't know, probably about 3 years ago, and have loved it since. It has spoiled me, it has spoiled me on cabbage, or fermented cabbage. So I'm going to get these cut up and washed, and then I will show you guys how I ferment cabbage. Like I said, I use the fermented vegetables book, and we kind of, with the different times that we've made it, different ways that we've made it, we've kind of put our own little swing as far as what we add to it. Excuse me. So I will show you how that's done, but I'm going to go ahead and get these washed and cut up, and we'll go from there. I actually got to thinking that y'all may want to see how I do it. So we like ours small or real thin. You can do it in a thicker pieces if you'd like. We have found with the different ways that we cut up cabbage, that we do prefer it thin. You can also do this where you mix the purple or red cabbage with the green. Our purple cabbage didn't really do so well this year, so we're just going to do this with green. But we are adding other stuff to it that we've kind of played with throughout the years. That's going to make it even better. Now you don't have to just eat this on bratwurst, which is what sauerkraut is normally known to be used on. We've added this to hamburgers, sandwiches. We've used it as a side. It's so universal, and it's so good in so many different ways. And you can do so many different varieties of it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish getting this sliced up and get the other one sliced up, and we'll be back to show you what we do next. Okay, had a slight dilemma. The batteries in my scale died. So he had to run to town to grab me some batteries. While he was gone, I went ahead and cut everything else up. So you do need a scale. If you don't have one, like if you're buying your cabbage from the store, just weigh it at the store and kind of keep in mind how much it was. So I'm going to put my bowl on here and zero it out. Okay. So here is the cabbage. I may have to do this in multiple bowls. That made a lot more cabbage than I thought. Oh yeah, we're going to have to do multiple. Okay, so let's just get through this one. So I'm going to make that 5 pounds. Okay. We don't have a bigger bowl, do we?
Negative.
So the way you do your salt, it's going to be 3 tablespoons of salt per 5 pounds. So I'm going to go ahead and weigh this out, because I can always divide it up. Almost. I got a little crazy there. So what I'm going to do is 2.5 pounds. So it'd be 1.5 tablespoons of salt. Okay. So I've got it a little under 2.5 pounds. Now your carrots, see I have them shredded. I did it in the food processor, but you can just slice them up. Now the best thing about this recipe is you can add or delete, you know, use as much carrots as you want or as little as you want. There is no particular, and this is 5 jalapenos. You can take the seeds out or you can keep them in. I did half and half because these are like super, super hot. Okay. So that actually, with the carrots, came out to just over 2.5 pounds. There we go, 2.5 pounds exactly. All right, so set that aside. Now you want to do, so since we did 2.5 pounds, because it's 3 tablespoons per 5 pounds. So you want to, let's see, we did 2.5 pounds, so we're going to do 1.5 tablespoons. Will you grab me some gloves out of the pantry? Now for the salt, you want to use a salt that does not have iodine in it, because the iodine will interfere with the fermentation process. So here's one. And then we'll do about half of this. So 1.5 tablespoons. They're on the shelf with the foil. Okay, so I'm going to use gloves to do this part just because we do add jalapenos to ours. And I really don't want to scratch my eyeball later and remember, oh yeah, I was doing jalapenos, because that really stinks. This hand's a little wet. Okay, so now you're just going to mix this in here really good. And you want to like you're doing a deep tissue massage. Now we get some from the bottom, bring it to the top. So you're going to do this for a little while, because what you're doing with the salt is you mix it in really good, and it ends up pulling the water from the cabbage and the carrots and the jalapenos and creating a brine. You do not want to add water to this. You don't have to have homegrown stuff to make this. And actually, if I remember correctly, when we first started making this, we wanted to try it first. And we'd gone to the store and we had bought some purple cabbage and green cabbage. We got one head of each. And we got some jalapeno, or no, we didn't have jalapenos in the first one, huh?
No.
But we did carrots, and I think we did onions. And we just tried it, and then throughout the years we've just kind of played with it. And sometimes we put onions in it, sometimes we put jalapenos in it. It's like I said, like a deep tissue massage. So you're gonna squeeze it. See, you're wanting the juice to come out of it. So that's what you're working in. When you do this, you're working the salt into it. Now, another thing that you can do is you can take a wooden spoon, or if you have the round like punchy thingy, you can also sit here and do this. But if you can, try to start out with massaging it with your hands just to kind of get it really in there. And you're wanting to release the water from the cabbage, and it takes a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep working at this till I get enough water to cover it up, because let's see if I can show you. I don't know if you can see it, but it's starting to produce the brine liquid. So I'm going to keep working at this until I get the water to, to where it's covering it, and we will be back as soon as I'm done with that. Okay, so I've massaged it and pounded it down for about 10 minutes, and it actually went down quite a bit. So since I do have extra, I'm going to go ahead and put this on here because I want to make sure my salt measurements are correct. I'm going to zero that out, and let's see if we can get another 2.5 pounds in there. Wow, that's close. It came out to 2.5.4. So just like an itty bitty amount over the 2.5 pounds. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add the 1.5 tablespoons of salt to this. I'm going to do the same thing, and then once it gets to where it's a really wet consistency, I'll come back and show you what we do from there. Okay, so I had to get a step stool so I could show you, but when you push on it, I don't know if you can see the liquid that's coming up. That's kind of where you want it, to where when you're pushing on it, the liquid comes to the top. This was only done with just salt and the vegetables. And then you get a plate. I have a plate that fits perfect in there. And then what I do is take a weight and set it on there. Now I'm going to leave it like this for about an hour. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, if you don't have a bowl where you could do it with that, you can always make it in a jar and keep pushing it down till you've got as much liquid as possible. and then put something in the jar that's going to weight it down and leave it for about an hour. But after that, then you need to always make sure that the liquid's above it. But just use a bowl and a plate. See, can you see when I push on this, the liquid coming over? So that's what you're wanting, except I don't want all the liquid over. I actually want it on that. So I'm going to let this sit for an hour and we will be right back. Okay, so this has been sitting, and as you can see, it has lots of juice on it. So I will wash that off in a sec. Get this plate out of here. Alright, so lots of juice in there, which is what we want. So now you're going to transfer it to mason jars. You want to make sure your jars are washed and dried. You can just wash your jars in, you know, normal soapy water. You're going to probably can't see. Just slide everything over here. Okay. So as you're putting it in there, you want to push it down because you're going to pack this in there. Since this isn't being water bath or pressure canned, you're not really going by the 1-inch headspace, but you do want to leave some room in there, and let me show you why. So take the end of a stick or a spoon or whatever, and you're going to push this down because you want to make sure that everything is under that liquid. You don't want anything above the liquid. I'm going to grab actual snack size baggies. So a cheater way to keep this down. Now they do make little glass weights that fit in mason jars to hold things down. But if you don't have that, there's a couple different cheater ways to do it instead of buying those glass weights. We go in it, that's not going to fit in there. Okay, so a couple different cheater ways to do it. I have actually filled these up with marbles. I have filled them up with rocks. But another way that you can do it, and I'm going to use bottled water just to, or I mean, actually let me just grab a glass of water. So you're creating a weight to hold this down. So you put the baggie in there. And what that does is that's going to hold all of your cabbage and carrots and stuff down underneath the liquid. And then just seal this so that it doesn't spill everywhere. And you're going to set this on your counter and you're going to leave that for, I don't know, about 3 days. But you always want to, you know, check it periodically and make sure that nothing has come above that liquid, because that stuff has to stay under the liquid, you know, and you can test it each day. You know, this is basically, well, it's fermenting cabbage. So the longer you leave it, the more, I don't know, like tart that it gets. And some people like it, you know, with a lot of tartness to it. Some people don't. So just taste it every day. And then when it gets to the level that you like, we have found we really like it at the 3-day mark. but that's just our personal preference. So once you get to the mark that you like, the tartness that you like, then all you're going to do is take this out. So you'll have your jar, put a lid on it, and put it in the refrigerator. You don't want it to be airtight right now because you want the gases to be able to escape from there. So once you're all done with it, just put it, when you've got it to the tart level that you want, just put a lid on it and put it in the refrigerator. This stuff will last for months and months in the refrigerator. And we actually go through it pretty quick because we just, like I said, you can eat it. This is really good on jasmine rice. We've had it on jasmine rice. We've mixed it in with stir fries. We've had it on bratwurst. We've put it in our sandwiches. We've put it on our hamburgers. I mean, you name it, we have really experimented with this stuff and have truly enjoyed it. So that is really all there is to it for the fermented cabbage. And like I said, the measurements of how much cabbage to how much carrots, how much, I mean, you can do bell peppers, you can do onions, you can put anything you want in here, but the ratio, it all depends on you, like the color you want. I didn't do a lot of jalapenos in this because our jalapenos that have come out of the garden are like stupid hot. So anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section, and we will catch you on the next video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and have a great week.